Have you ever felt like you're always giving but never receiving? Do you find yourself drained after certain interactions, questioning whether your relationships are truly balanced? If so, you might be stuck in a one-sided connection where you're being used. Before we dive in, make sure to share, and subscribe for more insights on self-improvement and personal growth. Let's explore the 7 signs that can help you identify when someone is taking advantage of you. 1. Lack of reciprocity. A healthy relationship thrives on mutual effort and shared support. Relationships, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, should not be one-sided. If you find yourself always being the one who reaches out, who offers help, who listens, who sacrifices time and energy, only to receive little or nothing in return, it's a glaring sign of imbalance. True connections require reciprocity, a balance of giving and receiving that fosters trust and appreciation. Imagine being a friend who always answers the late-night distress calls, who rearranges plans to accommodate someone else's needs, who remembers important dates and gestures, only to realize that when you need a helping hand or a listening ear, there's silence on the other end. This kind of dynamic can be emotionally draining, leading to feelings of resentment, frustration, and even self-doubt. You may wonder, am I not important enough? Does this person care about me, or simply about what I provide? The Stoics emphasize virtue, fairness, and balance in all aspects of life, including relationships. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the importance of integrity and the necessity of surrounding oneself with people who align with one's values. A relationship that lacks reciprocity is fundamentally misaligned with these principles. If someone continuously takes without giving back, they are not treating you as a person, but as a resource, something to be used when convenient. Signs of a one-sided relationship. Recognizing a lack of reciprocity is the first step toward addressing it. Here are some telltale signs. You initiate all communication. If you stop texting or calling, does the other person ever reach out? If the relationship only continues because of your efforts, it's likely one-sided. They disappear when you need support. You've been there for them countless times, yet when you need a favor, advice, or a simple word of encouragement, they are nowhere to be found. Excuses instead of effort. When confronted about the imbalance, they might brush it off with excuses like, "I've just been really busy," or "That's just how I am." But true relationships involve effort, even during busy times. They only show up when they need something. Do they reach out primarily when they need a favor, an introduction, or emotional support? If their presence in your life is conditional upon their own needs, that's a red flag. Lack of appreciation. Gratitude is a fundamental part of reciprocity. If your efforts go unnoticed or unacknowledged, it indicates a lack of value placed on your presence in their life. What to do about it? Once you identify a lack of reciprocity, it's crucial to take action. Here are some steps to consider. Communicate your feelings. Some people may not realize they are taking more than they give. A candid conversation about how you feel can sometimes lead to change. Set boundaries. If someone consistently drains your energy without giving back, it's okay to limit your availability. Evaluate the relationship's worth. Not all relationships are meant to last. If someone is unwilling to invest in you as you have in them, it may be time to distance yourself. Surround yourself with givers. Seek relationships where effort is mutual, where both parties contribute equally to the connection. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." This applies to relationships as well. Do not waste time hoping someone will change if they have shown you who they truly are. Prioritize relationships built on mutual respect, effort, and reciprocity. 2. Guilt trip manipulation. Do you ever say yes when you really want to say no, just to avoid guilt? If so, you're not alone. Guilt is a powerful emotion, and manipulative people know how to use it to their advantage. Whether a friend, family member, colleague, or even a romantic partner, guilt trip manipulators make you feel responsible for their happiness, discomfort, or struggles. They subtly, or sometimes overtly, imply that if you don't do what they want, you are a bad person, selfish, uncaring, or ungrateful. How guilt manipulation works. Manipulators use guilt to keep you within their control. They play on your sense of responsibility and compassion. making you feel that if you don't comply with their wishes, you're letting them down or causing them distress. This tactic often leads to an emotional tug-of-war where your own needs and desires take a back seat to their demands. For example, imagine you have a friend who always expects you to be available, no matter how busy you are. One day, you tell them you can't make it to dinner because you have an important deadline. Instead of understanding, they say something like, "Oh, I see how it is. Work is more important than our friendship. I guess I just have to deal with being abandoned." Even though you have every right to prioritize your responsibilities, their response makes you feel guilty. Suddenly, you're questioning whether you should sacrifice your own well-being to keep them happy. This is classic guilt trip manipulation. Real friends versus manipulators. A true friend respects your boundaries and understands that you have your own life, obligations, and limitations. They don't hold your choices against you or try to make you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. On the other hand, manipulators thrive on making you feel like you owe them something, even when you don't. Consider another example. A family member constantly reminds you of everything they've done for you. They say things like, "After everything I've sacrificed for you, this is how you repay me?" The implication is clear. Your choices should revolve around their expectations, not your own needs. This emotional debt they create is not about love or care. It's about control. Breaking free from guilt trips. The philosopher Epictetus once said, "We control our own choices." This is an important truth to remember when dealing with guilt trip manipulation. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions at the expense of your own happiness. Here are some strategies to help you break free from guilt-based control. Recognize the pattern. Awareness is the first step. Pay attention to situations where you feel pressured to act out of guilt rather than genuine desire. Set clear boundaries. You have the right to say no without explaining yourself excessively. Use assertive communication. Respond with confidence. Say, "I understand you're upset, but I have to make the best decision for myself." Don't justify or apologize excessively. A manipulator will try to keep the conversation going until you give in. A firm, simple, "I can't," is often the best response. Be prepared for backlash. Manipulators don't like losing control, so expect resistance. Stay strong. A story of freedom. Anna used a struggle with guilt trip manipulation from her mother. Every time Anna made a decision that wasn't what her mother wanted, she would hear, "I guess I'll just sit here alone and cry since my own daughter doesn't care about me." For years, Anna would change her plans just to avoid the guilt. One day, she realized that her mother's emotions were not her responsibility. She started responding differently. "I love you, but I can't make it today. Let's plan another time." At first, her mother resisted, but over time, she learned that Anna wasn't going to cave in anymore. Anna felt liberated and happier, knowing that she was making choices based on her needs, not guilt. Guilt is a strong emotion, but it should never be used as a weapon to control others. If someone in your life frequently makes you feel guilty for prioritizing yourself, take a step back and assess the situation. Remember, you are not responsible for making others happy at the cost of your own well-being. A real friend, partner, or family member will respect your boundaries. As Epictetus reminds us, your choices are yours to make. Don't let guilt dictate them. 3. Emotional drainage. Some people uplift you, filling your spirit with joy, motivation, and a sense of purpose. Others leave you feeling drained, anxious, and emotionally depleted. It is crucial to recognize the difference between the two and take action before emotional exhaustion becomes a way of life. Imagine a scenario where you meet an old friend for coffee. You're excited to catch up, but as the conversation progresses, you find yourself trapped in a vortex of negativity. Your friend complains incessantly about their job, their family, and their life in general. Every attempt to shift the conversation towards something positive is met with resistance. By the time you leave, your shoulders feel heavier, your mood is darker, and the enthusiasm you had at the beginning of the meeting has evaporated. This is the effect of an energy vampire, someone who saps your mental and emotional energy, leaving you feeling worse than before. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, emphasized the importance of choosing your company wisely. He understood that the people we surround ourselves with shape our perspectives, emotions, and overall well-being. If your interactions consistently leave you feeling tense or depleted, it may be time to reevaluate certain relationships. This does not mean you must abandon people at the first sign of negativity, but rather, you should set boundaries to protect your peace and emotional reserves. One way to identify emotionally draining relationships is to notice patterns in how you feel before, during, and after interactions. Do you experience a sense of dread before meeting someone? Do you feel exhausted or irritable after a conversation? If so, these are warning signs. Emotional drainage is not always obvious and can manifest in different ways, such as constant complaining, manipulation, passive aggressiveness, or an overwhelming focus on their own problems while dismissing yours. Consider the story of Lisa, a hard-working professional who always made time for her best friend, Julia. Lisa noticed that every time she spoke with Julia, the conversation revolved around Julia's endless problems. Whether it was work stress, relationship drama, or dissatisfaction with life, Julia had an uncanny ability to turn every discussion into a personal venting session. Whenever Lisa attempted to share her own struggles, Julia would quickly shift the focus back to herself. Over time, Lisa found herself feeling drained after every interaction. It wasn't until she set clear boundaries, limiting the duration of calls and redirecting conversations, that she was able to regain her emotional balance. Setting boundaries is an essential tool in dealing with emotionally draining individuals. This can mean limiting your availability, steering conversations toward neutral topics, or even distancing yourself when necessary. It is not selfish to protect your well-being. It is a form of self-respect. Just as you wouldn't allow someone to repeatedly take money from your wallet, you shouldn't permit others to steal your emotional energy. Another strategy is to actively seek out relationships that nourish you. Spend time with people who inspire, encourage, and challenge you in a positive way. A balanced social circle should include those who make you laugh, listen when you need to talk, and offer constructive advice rather than constant complaints. When you choose to invest in relationships that uplift rather than drain you, you will find yourself with more energy, clarity, and emotional resilience. In the end, life is too short to spend it constantly drained. Be mindful of the company you keep, and don't be afraid to prioritize your well-being. Emotional vampires have no place in a life driven by growth, self-respect, and happiness. Choose wisely, set boundaries, and make space for the relationships that bring light into your life. 4. Indifference to your achievements. True friends celebrate your successes. They share in your joy, encourage you to aim higher, and recognize the effort you put into achieving your goals. If someone downplays your wins, brushes them aside, or even seems resentful, their interest in you may not be genuine. The Stoics taught that envy is a sign of weakness. A strong, virtuous person rejoices in the success of others. Ask yourself, is this person rooting for me or just using me? Imagine you worked tirelessly to earn a promotion at work. You stayed late, took on extra responsibilities, and proved your dedication. Finally, the day arrives, and you're awarded the position you've been striving for. You excitedly share the news with your friends. A true friend will smile, congratulate you, and perhaps even suggest a celebratory dinner. But what if your so-called friend shrugs, says, "Oh, cool," and changes the subject? Or worse, what they start pointing out how lucky you were, insinuating that you didn't truly earn it? This kind of reaction can be subtle, but over time, it reveals a pattern. When your achievements are constantly ignored or minimized, it may be a sign that the person is not truly invested in your happiness. Rather than feeling joy for you, they might be comparing themselves and feeling insecure. This could manifest in sarcastic comments, dismissive gestures, or even outright negative remarks disguised as jokes. Consider another example. A young artist, Julia, finally has one of her paintings accepted into a prestigious gallery. She has spent years refining her technique, working hard to get her name out there. When she shares the news with her best friend, she expects enthusiasm. Instead, her friend says, "That's nice, but it's just one gallery. Lots of people get in." Instead of encouragement, Julia feels deflated. It's not that she needs validation, but a lack of enthusiasm from someone she values is telling. True friendship is about mutual support. Think of a sports team. When one player scores, the entire team celebrates. It doesn't matter if they personally benefited. What matters is that their teammate succeeded. In contrast, imagine a player who crosses their arms and sulks when someone else shines. Would you call that person a team player? Friendship works the same way. If someone consistently downplays your accomplishments, they may not be on your team at all. On the flip side, a supportive friend does not need to be overly effusive every time something good happens to you. They may not always throw a party in your honor, but you'll notice they are genuinely happy for you. They will offer encouragement, acknowledge your hard work, and perhaps even ask how you did it out of admiration and respect. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote, "Rejoice in what you have learned and share in the happiness of others." This philosophy suggests that real strength comes from lifting others up, not tearing them down. If a person in your life cannot bring themselves to be happy for you, it may be time to ask, is this friendship bringing value or is it weighing you down? The key takeaway is to observe how people react to your success. Do they cheer you on or attempt to diminish your moment? Are they proud of you or do they seem threatened? Surround yourself with those who celebrate your wins just as you celebrate theirs. A friendship built on support, respect, and encouragement is one worth keeping. One built on jealousy, insecurity, and indifference is not. 5. Disappearing after getting what they want. Have you ever had someone reach out to you only when they needed a favor, then vanish the moment they got what they wanted? This pattern is not just frustrating. It's a clear sign of an opportunistic mindset. These individuals don't seek meaningful relationships. They seek convenience. Once their needs are met, they disappear, leaving you wondering if the connection was ever real in the first place. Real relationships, whether friendships, professional connections, or romantic partnerships, are built on consistency, reciprocity, and mutual appreciation. They are not supposed to be transactional or one-sided. However, many people fall into the trap of engaging with those who only view relationships as stepping stones to their own goals. As Marcus Aurelius wisely advised, it's crucial to surround yourself with people who contribute positively to your life rather than those who take advantage of your kindness. Recognizing the pattern of disappearing after getting what they want manifests in many areas of life. A friend who only reaches out when they need a ride, a colleague who suddenly becomes friendly when they need help with a project, or a romantic partner who showers you with attention until they get what they desire. These are all examples of opportunistic behavior. It can be easy to overlook this pattern at first, especially if you naturally enjoy helping others. But over time, the feeling of being used begins to weigh on you. Take Lisa, for example. She was always willing to lend a hand, whether it was covering shifts at work, helping friends move, or offering emotional support whenever someone was struggling. Yet, she noticed a disturbing trend. Whenever she needed help, those same people were nowhere to be found. The friend who always asked her to help with errands suddenly became too busy when Lisa needed a small favor. The co-worker who relied on her expertise for work assignments never invited her to lunch or checked in on her outside of work. Lisa eventually realized that many of her relationships were one-sided, built on convenience rather than genuine care. It was a hard pill to swallow, but she made the conscious decision to focus on those who valued her beyond what she could offer them. The emotional toll, being treated as a means to an end, can be emotionally exhausting. It leads to feelings of frustration, disappointment, and even resentment. You might start questioning your worth, wondering why people only reach out when they need something. Over time, this pattern can drain your energy and make you more guarded in future relationships. If you've experienced this, it's important to remember that the problem does not lie with you. It lies with those who fail to see relationships as a two-way street. Their behavior reflects their character, not your value. How to protect yourself. If you find yourself constantly giving without receiving anything in return, it may be time to set boundaries. Here are some ways to protect yourself from one-sided relationships. Observe patterns. Pay attention to whether someone only reaches out when they need something. Are they interested in your well-being, or do they disappear once their needs are met? Set boundaries. It's okay to say no. You don't have to be available to everyone all the time, especially when the effort is not reciprocated. Invest in genuine connections. Prioritize relationships with people who are there for you in both good times and bad. Seek those who appreciate you for who you are, not just for what you can provide. Communicate your feelings. Sometimes, people don't realize they're taking advantage. Expressing how you feel can either improve the relationship or confirm that it's time to move on. Be selective with your energy. Not everyone deserves your time and effort. Focus on those who bring positivity and balance into your life. A lesson in self-respect. Choosing to walk away from opportunistic relationships is an act of self-respect. It may feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're someone who naturally gives without expecting much in return. But by setting standards for how you allow people to treat you, you create space for relationships that are meaningful, balanced, and fulfilling. The people who truly care about you won't disappear. Once they get what they want, they will be present, engaged, and supportive, not just when it's convenient for them, but because they genuinely value you. And that's the kind of connection worth investing in. 6. Avoidance of deep conversations. A meaningful relationship involves deep, honest conversations, not just surface-level exchanges. When someone consistently avoids discussing deeper topics, it can be a sign of emotional distance or a lack of genuine interest in you as a person. Conversations are the foundation of connection, and if they remain shallow, the relationship may lack the emotional depth necessary for true intimacy and mutual understanding. The importance of deep conversations. Deep conversations are essential because they help individuals understand each other's values, experiences, emotions, and aspirations. When people engage in meaningful dialogue, they build trust, strengthen emotional bonds, and develop a sense of security in the relationship. Being able to discuss personal struggles, dreams, and fears with someone creates a foundation for genuine connection. However, if one person continuously avoids these types of discussions while expecting the other to be emotionally available for them, an imbalance forms. This can lead to frustration, feelings of unimportance, and even resentment over time. Sign someone is avoiding deep conversations. Steering the conversation back to safe topics. If every attempt at discussing feelings, future plans, or personal struggles is met with deflection toward mundane topics like work, hobbies, or gossip, this could indicate avoidance. While casual conversations are normal, an unwillingness to engage in deeper discussions suggests emotional unavailability, giving vague or short responses. When someone consistently responds with, "I don't know," "it's whatever," or "I don't really want to talk about it," they may be avoiding emotional vulnerability. While it's okay to have moments where talking about emotions feels difficult, a pattern of this behavior can be a red flag. Changing the subject or making jokes. Humor is a great tool for lightening a conversation, but when used as a defense mechanism to avoid serious discussions, it can be problematic. If a person frequently makes jokes or changes the subject whenever an important issue arises, it shows an unwillingness to engage in a deeper connection, only talking about themselves. A relationship should involve mutual sharing and listening. If someone only opens up about their struggles but doesn't show interest in yours, they might see you as a sounding board rather than a valued person in their life. Personal example, the one-sided friendship. Emily had been friends with Rachel for over 5 years. They spent hours together talking about Rachel's problems, her work stress, relationship troubles, and family drama. Emily was always there to listen and offer support. However, whenever Emily tried to share her struggles, Rachel would either change the subject, dismiss her feelings, or say something like, "You'll figure out, don't stress." Over time, Emily realized that the friendship felt one-sided. She was pouring emotional energy into Rachel without receiving the same level of care in return. The lack of deep, reciprocal conversations made Emily feel unimportant. Eventually, she distanced herself from Rachel and found friends who valued emotional depth and mutual support. Why some people avoid deep conversations? Fear of vulnerability. Some individuals struggle with emotional openness due to past experiences of betrayal or rejection. They may believe that revealing their true thoughts and feelings will make them appear weak. Emotional immaturity. People who lack emotional intelligence often have difficulty processing and expressing deep emotions. Instead of confronting difficult topics, they avoid them entirely. Lack of interest in a deeper connection. Sometimes, avoidance of deep conversations is a sign that someone simply does not value the relationship enough to invest emotionally. Personal insecurities. Some people struggle to express their inner thoughts because they feel unworthy of being heard or fear that their opinions don't matter. How to handle avoidance in a relationship. Communicate your needs. Express how important deep conversations are to you and why they matter in the relationship. Observe their response. If they continue to dismiss your feelings, it may indicate that they aren't willing to meet your emotional needs. Decide what you want. If someone consistently avoids meaningful conversations, consider whether the relationship is fulfilling for you. Seek people who value depth. Surround yourself with individuals who are willing to engage in emotional and intellectual conversations. A healthy relationship, whether romantic, familial, or friendship-based, requires open and honest communication. If someone continuously avoids deep conversations and only engages in surface-level interactions, it might be time to reassess their role in your life. You deserve relationships where your thoughts, emotions, and experiences are valued, not just tolerated. 7. Contact only when needed. The final and perhaps most telling sign. Someone who only reaches out when they need a favor. If your interactions feel transactional rather than relational, you're dealing with a user. Stoic philosophy teaches us to recognize when relationships lack virtue and to step away from those who do not reciprocate our care and respect. Recognizing transactional relationships. We've all had that one friend or acquaintance who seems to disappear when everything is fine, but magically reappears when they need help. They may call when they need a ride to the airport, when they need money, or when they need emotional support after a breakup. However, when you reach out for companionship, support, or even just a friendly chat, they're suddenly too busy. Take Sarah, for example. Sarah had a childhood friend named Jake. Throughout high school and college, they shared a deep bond, talking daily and supporting each other through challenges. But after college, Sarah noticed a shift. Jake rarely checked in just to see how she was doing. The only time he texted or called was when he needed something, help moving, advice on job applications, or a place to crash when he visited her city. Over time, Sarah realized her friendship had become one-sided. She was no longer a valued friend, but rather a resource Jake tapped into when convenient for him. The emotional toll of one-sided relationships. Being in a relationship, whether friendship, family, or romantic, that is based purely on necessity rather than genuine care can be exhausting. It leaves you feeling unappreciated, undervalued, and ultimately used. When people treat you as a means to an end rather than as an individual with emotions and worth, it can lead to resentment and self-doubt. Imagine Mark, who always goes the extra mile for his colleagues. He helps them with projects, stays late to cover for them, and offers advice whenever needed. But when he needs assistance or support, the same colleagues are nowhere to be found. They don't invite him to social gatherings, and they never express gratitude for his efforts. Mark starts questioning his worth. Does anyone actually value him, or is he just a tool for their convenience? The Stoic approach, recognizing and letting go. Stoic philosophy teaches us to focus on relationships that are built on virtue, mutual respect, kindness, and sincerity. If a relationship feels one-sided, it is essential to step back and evaluate whether it's worth maintaining. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic emperor, wrote about the importance of surrounding oneself with those who elevate rather than drain. Seneca, another Stoic philosopher, warned against people who use others for their own gain without reciprocating loyalty or respect. This doesn't mean we should cut off every person who asks for help. Helping others is part of being human. However, if the relationship is purely transactional, it's important to set boundaries. This could mean saying no more often, reducing the amount of energy invested in these relationships, or even having an open conversation about the imbalance. Cultivating healthy relationships. Instead of focusing on people who only reach out when they need something, invest time in relationships that bring joy, support, and mutual respect. A true friend or partner will check in just to see how you're doing, celebrate your successes, and be there in both good and bad times. For instance, consider Emily and Rachel. Rachel was going through a rough patch in her life. She lost her job and went through a difficult breakup. Emily was there for her, offering support and encouragement. A year later, Emily faced a family crisis, and without hesitation, Rachel stepped up, offering the same unwavering support. Their relationship was not based on need, but on genuine care for one another. If someone only contacts you when they need something, recognize the nature of that relationship. Set boundaries and redirect your energy toward people who value and respect you beyond your usefulness. Life is too short to invest in relationships that drain rather than nourish. Choose to surround yourself with those who bring mutual happiness, respect, and authenticity. Recognizing these signs is a first step to reclaiming your time, energy, and self-respect. You deserve relationships that are reciprocal, uplifting, and meaningful. As the Stoics teach, you cannot control others, but you can control who you allow into your life. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more wisdom on personal growth. Have you ever experienced any of these signs? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, stay strong and stay wise.